All right, there we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I know there's a few different time zones being represented here. It's good to see you guys. Hi, it's Eric, and I'm terribly sorry for being late. I did my first ever solo flight with Zoe last night, our 19-month-old baby, and it was one of those flights where, not only were we delayed, but then United decided to fly us to entirely the wrong city. So instead of getting in last night, we got in at 4 this morning. So it's been quite an adventure. Anyway, I'm super glad to be here with you guys now. And I kind of have a format for the way I wanted to do this, which is really a mastermind format. And here's the challenge with starting it, is that a lot of times I find that when people come onto these Zoom calls, like when we run regular masterminds, in the first month, it's kind of hard to get people moving and asking questions and talking with each other, because they treat it a little bit like a TV show. It's not a TV show. So what we're gonna do is, I know that we had a couple of questions that were actually sent in advance. I wanna get to those. And then I wanna talk a little bit about what you guys can expect at the Business Freedom Experience. For those of you who are coming this year, it'll still be good advice for those of you who are coming to a subsequent one. And then just to jump in and see if you guys have any questions that we can kind of get started with, either that I might be able to answer now, or that you might get some interesting feedback from the rest of the team, or that will allow me to create the framework to get you the answer at the live event. So that's how we're gonna play it today. So let me get first to the pre-sent in questions. There weren't so many, but I've got them here. All right, this is from Artur, and the question is, our educational agency operates in 2 countries, in Lithuania and Poland. We decided to expand to Poland 4 years ago, and it has grown slower than expected. Do you have any thoughts on why our marketing works in one country but not the other? This is a very common thing. And we definitely will discuss this during the live event as well. But one of the things that's really important to remember is that, this is a little bit politically incorrect, but sometimes cultural stereotypes exist for a reason. And what I mean by that is, like, here's a kind of silly example, but if I heard this joke once, and it's if you're Canadian or American and you come to Europe, the best vacation you can have is a vacation where you land in Europe, and the people that greet you, that welcome you on your tour, they're from England. And then the food is prepared by the French people. And then the entertainment is all organized by Italians, and the tour is organized by Germans. That's a very nice tour. But a bad tour would be that you land and you're first greeted by the French, and then you're fed by the English, and then you're entertained by the Germans, and the whole tour is organized by the Italians. That would not be such a good tour for North America. Now, it's kind of a little bit of a silly joke, but it's based on some ideas that we really do have some quirky cultural differences country to country. And these have to be taken into account when we're marketing. So if you think of it in terms of, the basic rules of inception marketing, what we're saying is you really need to know what's going on in the mind of your consumer. So if somebody said to me that they wanted to target male entrepreneurs between 40 and 50 years old in Lithuania, but they wanted to go after that same target group in the Ukraine, or in Estonia, or in Germany, or anywhere else for that matter, or in Poland, as in the case of this question, then I would say you really have to look to what the different concerns are, and maybe what some of the different cultural approaches are. You guys understand, there's things that you might be able to get away with in a sales message in America that you couldn't get away with in Sweden, for example. So I think that I hope that gives you some idea of the way to think about it. And then when we get to the live event, we can actually brainstorm out some specific differences that might support your businesses, and even give you a chance to try them out. Does anybody else, again, I know initially, yes, we will record this and it will be shared to, we will record this and it will be shared. I'm not sure exactly where Kelsey will figure that part out. And in the meantime, guys, in the chat here on the side, I wanted to just a couple things. Might be good to introduce yourself and say hello, because you're going to hang out with these people and spend a very intense 5 days with them. So it's probably a good idea to say hello. And then the second thing is, if you have any comments or questions, if you have your own question, or if you have comments about somebody's question, just put them in the chat, and then maybe, I can read them out, or if you want to offer them out loud, we can do that too. All right. Next question here. This is from Eric Kriebel, I think I'm saying. And Eric, you're actually on the call here with us, aren't you? Where are you? There you are. Eric, why don't you give us the question here instead of me reading it? I'll hear it in your own voice. You're live.
Yeah, okay, sure. Hi, everybody, by the way. I'm Eric. I'm from the Netherlands. And yeah, the question that I sent in was about, well, my ideal target market is a gym owner who has between 15 and 25 employees and 2 or 3 locations. And he is 35 till 40 years old. He has 2 kids, is married, and has like an income of 3,500 euros per month. And what I'm struggling a little bit with is how to get the attention of the gym owners to buy my service, and how to get the authority, that they will actually listen to me. The struggle that I have is how to capture their mind and then eventually sell it to them.
So Eric, let's touch a little bit on that now, but here's what you need to know. You will really understand this, I think, by the end of the business freedom experience, because where the business freedom experience is going to be quite different than most workshops, and certainly even than the Inception Marketing workshop that so many of you have been to. You know, with Inception Marketing, it's a business workshop. It's 2 days. It's reasonable hours. And there's not so much like practical doing. I mean, yes, you're making plans, but you're not going and testing them. Whereas during the business freedom experience, it's 5 days, unreasonable hours, and the opportunity to actually test your pitches in a practical way. So we'll go deeper, but I'll give you a sort of surface answer. The part of the process that you've done very well is identifying your ideal target market. You said, look, I know who they are. I have a good sense of who they are in terms of their demographics. But what I don't think that you've done very well just yet, and this is an art form, it's applied the corporate empathy part or the personal empathy part, where you really learn about them, where you really figure out like going on for them, what's going on for them in their personal life, what's going on for them in their business, what's happening in their industry around them that might catch their attention. And I think that, you know, like here's a couple of examples. A gym owner has kind of two big concerns. The one is getting new clients. And then the other one is getting their clients to actually come to the gym.
And stay there.
And stay there, right? We call it retention. So it's one thing to sell the membership. It's another thing to get the people to keep coming back. And if they don't come back, then when it comes time to renew their membership, they don't renew. The only way you can really get people to renew their membership is either to get them to use the gym so they value their membership, or it's to give them some amazing discount when it's time for them to renew, to make them believe that this time they'll actually go to the gym. And of course, that means a huge discount.
Or automatic renewal.
Well, or automatic renewal. But in that case, then what you then have to do is have a membership dollar or price amount that we call invisible. In other words, it's so low that they don't really notice it on their credit card bill, and maybe they'll let you auto renew. But look, their expiry date's going to come up at some point. And at one point in time, they're going to have to make a decision about giving you the expiry date on the new card. And you're going to face this renewal issue. Guys, how many of you have ever had something like a gym membership and it just stopped because your expiry date came and you couldn't be bothered to update it? Who's ever had a thing like that? There you go. So if you're using it, like here's a good example. If you have websites hosted with a web server and your expiry date's coming up, and it's hard to get you're trying to log in and update your expiry date, how hard will you work to give them your expiry date to make sure your websites don't go down? Like, you'll call them, you'll do everything because you're using the service. So you know what I'm getting at is that if you think just about those 2 points with a gym owner, then I would be inclined potentially to take a look at an engagement pitch based on those things. So that's part one of your question. How do we get their attention? So one of the ways that you might, one of the things you might do is do some research into retention levels in different age groups and different demographics. And then maybe even, send out an email or make a phone call or go to a gym or, whatever marketing medium you want, where you then offer them say, hey, we've just done this report on gym retention level trends and what you can do to boost your retention for your gym. Well, I think a gym owner who thinks a gym owner might be interested in that? Yeah, I think so.
Can I have a comment on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I was thinking about that with a friend of mine, actually. And what we were thinking is, well, those gym owners, they really get a lot of offers on how to make their retention rate better and how to get new leads. So we were thinking that maybe they were a little bit tired of that. Like when they get an engagement pitch, 3 ways.
Remember though, Eric, you may absolutely right, but remember this. I didn't say just send them a report, like tell them how. I'm saying, what if you produce a really good looking report with real statistics about retention level trends? You see, because the second part of your question was, how do I get authority? So I'm thinking, okay, I'm a gym owner and I get this email that says, boost retention levels in your gym now. I've probably had an email like that lots of times. But if I have another email that says, cutting edge industry report on gym trends and retention level trends, in brackets, with key strategies on how to overcome these trends or something like that. So you see, now instead of it just being some spammy email that says, oh, I'm going to help you boost your trends, it's a nice looking PDF report that tells them, oh, it looks like the trends are like this. This is the month that people fall off the most often. These are the people most likely to fall off. This is how it is in Holland versus this is how it is in America versus this is how it is in Sweden. And with some infographics, like, you put a little work into this, but you said you wanted authority, right? So you put a little work into it. Maybe there's an infographic with some cool graphs that show what's going on. And at the end of it says, and by the way, here are 5 ways that you can address these trends and boost retention in your business. Does this make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
So you see, it's subtle. What I'm saying to you is not so different than other things you might have already tried or somebody else might try. But the subtlety is remembering that your goal is not just to get their attention. Your goal is to earn their respect. And so if you put together that report, they're going to look at that report. If you've done it nicely, you get it, look, how much would it cost? Go collect the statistics and then go to Fiverr and ask somebody to create you some infographics and create a really nice looking PDF brochure that has all the information in it. And then you go, hey, we've done this free report for you. And then another thing that you can do potentially is offer to do an audit of their gym. So, basically what you say is like, by the way, if you'd like to have a free audit on what might be causing your lack of retention, then, we can come in and do an audit for you. And it's a 1-hour process. And, it's really simple. It's a 1-hour process where you come in, you visit the gym as a client. I don't know how far you want to go into your sales process and how high end the ultimate sale is, but if it's a high end ultimate sale, it might be worth sending somebody. They go there, they have a look at the induction process, and then you're able to give them some specific advice about their gym. You're going to have total authority by the end of that. Now, that might not be practical. It depends on how much the client is worth to you in the end, how far you go in earning their respect. Does it make sense?
Yeah, awesome.
Good deal. We'll go deeper into this in Stockholm. We will. I'm sure we'll have some neat conversations about it.
Nice. Perfect.
Cool. All right. So that said, these are the questions that were sent in advance. And so what I'd love to do is, if you guys, now, before I go to your questions, let's talk a little bit about what you can expect. This program, the Business Freedom Experience, is it's really fun. And it's really powerful. And I know you know a lot of this already, or else you wouldn't have signed up for it, and you have faith in me, and that's great. What I want you to know is it's absolutely routine for us to have people come to this program that already have like a 2-year MBA program and say, holy, I've learned more and gained more experience in 5 days than I did in 2 days. Now, I can say that to you for 2 reasons, I can have 2 reasons for saying that to you. The one is that I really want you to understand you've made a good decision. It's going to be valuable for you. But the second one is, how hard do you think we're going to have to work in order to make our 5 days more valuable than 2 years in an MBA? Think about that. Like it's going to be, yeah, I see some, it's going to be intense. And we're really going to have a lot of fun. We're going to cover a lot of material. And I want to give you some hints as to how you can get the most out of it. And I will probably repeat this on the day, but that's important. Repetition is helpful, but I want you to hear me about this now so that you've got a little bit of mental preparation. And some of the stuff I'm going to share with you now, if you wait till you hear it on the day, it won't have as much power for you, and you'll understand in a moment. So the first thing is that really remember that the way memory is stored in your mind is affected by the reason you're storing it. Okay? So for example, you meet somebody, let's say you're single and you're out dating and you're out dancing with your friends or whatever, and you see somebody and you're mildly interested in them. And then they tell you their name and ask you to look them up on Facebook. You may or may not remember their name. But now you see somebody and you're really interested in them. I mean, in every way. You like the way they look, you like the way they talk, you like the way they made you laugh. You really are interested in them. And they tell you their name and then to look them up on Facebook. Which name are you more likely to remember? I think it's pretty clear, right? And we kind of have to remember that our minds do that. Our minds decide what's significant and what's not significant relative to the way we store it in here. You know, somebody goes, in the old days, like here's a funny thing. How many of you right now remember less than 3 phone numbers? Less than 3 phone numbers. Like, isn't that a bit creepy? When we were kids, and I'm a little older than some of you on this call, but we had to remember all of the phone numbers. I mean, we might know 20 or 30 phone numbers because they were important for us to remember. Now we acquiesce our memory to our digital devices and we don't need to remember them. So in fact, and how many of you feel like your short-term memory for things like numbers is not so strong as maybe it was before? Does anybody feel like that? Yeah, it's because the brain is like a muscle. And so when we stop using it, it stops being as effective. And that's something we're going to talk a little bit about during the 5 days together, is that it's time for us to make sure that we use our minds in order to keep them strong. The more we keep assigning everything over to our handheld devices, I think the more we're asking for trouble. But now how can we use this to our advantage? Well, here's a really great example of that, is that when we want to remember something from a workshop that we're going to, then one of the very most powerful strategies you can have for remembering it is to learn it knowing you're going to teach it. It changes everything. It is one of the most powerful. Some of you have probably heard me telling a story about learning about going for a flying lesson. I will tell the story almost certainly during the Business Freedom Experience because it makes this point so very well. When you learn something in order to teach it, it's almost like, this is metaphorical. I'm no neurologist or brain scientist here, but this is the way I think of it. If all I have to remember is point A to point B, if that's all I have to remember, then I'll remember it. But if I have to remember point A to point B for a whole lot of other people, then I'm going to remember it more holistically. What I mean by that is that I'm going to remember it from different perspectives, because I might have to explain it to a 5-year-old over here, and then I might have to explain it to a 60-year-old over here that has a different relationship with technology. Then I might have to explain it to a teenager that has attention deficit issues, and I'm going to have to figure out how to get them. You see, the minute you start learning something with the intention of teaching it, you bring it into your mind more solidly. So what I'm going to ask you to do, it's so funny, this may sound crazy to you, but what I'm going to ask you to do is come and learn everything and then go teach it to people. That may seem a little crazy because I want you to take, our content and go teach it to people who didn't pay to be there. Yes, I do, because of 2 reasons. One is it's going to help you to remember it even better. And 2, I'm on the planet with a mission to educate far more entrepreneurs than I can personally reach. So if you go out and teach it to people, you're just helping. So I really want you to come to the event knowing that you're going to be teaching this material, either because you have employees, or because you're going to have employees eventually, or because you have friends that are business owners and you might want to. Hey, how many of you, if you learned something really powerful about how to let's say about how to fire somebody, like a really powerful way about how to do it that's empowering, that's not hard on you, and you learn it, and then you're sitting having lunch with a friend of yours and he goes, oh, I have to fire somebody. How many of you are inclined to go, hey, I learned this really cool way of doing this from this Canadian guy, let me share it? How many of you would probably want to share that with your friend? Then be willing during the workshop to constantly go, how would I teach this? How would I teach this? How would I teach this? Also, and this is one of the reasons that the business freedom experience is unique in the business world, and that is that you will, and I'm going to have some advice about this in a moment, but you will have the opportunity to test the things that we're learning, because you're going to be playing a game we call consortium or consortium, depending on how you want to pronounce it, where you will form small companies. And over the 5 days of the program, those small companies will actually sell stuff. And so you'll have to communicate with your team, and there's going to have to be leadership, and there's going to have to be details, and there's going to have to be marketing. So that means that when we cover material, you're going to have the opportunity to use that material in a real world environment, which means you might have to teach it. Isn't it possible that you're on a team and you heard something differently than somebody else, or somebody else got up to leave the bathroom and now we have to figure it out? So you're going to have the chance to discuss the material. So it's really important that you learn it ready to teach it. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay, cool. That will, I'm telling you, that will double your experience, and it'll double, more than double the value you pull out of the program. Because frankly, a lot of times people go to a workshop and they fail to remember any more than about 10 or 15% of everything they take in. Now, luckily they take notes, and so they can review. You know, we all diligently review our notes after the workshop, don't we? Oh, so maybe not always. Maybe we take the notes and we really think we're going to review them. You know what, guys? I'm all for taking notes and reviewing them. But what I want to do is give you this information in a way where you don't need your notes, or where you really are intrigued to go look at your notes. Because, you know, the funny thing is, guys, this is silly, but people can take really extensive notes, but if they don't remember the material, they don't go back and look at the notes. But if they come and they really remember the material, like it intrigues them, and they're like, oh God, we have to do this and we have to do that. Yeah, but I don't remember exactly the steps. Those are the people that end up looking at their notes. Isn't that interesting? So it's really important that you come in ready to learn. All right. Second thing is the game that we're going to play, Consortium, is it's going to involve actually selling and marketing products and services. Whose products and services, you might ask? Yours. So some of you have products and services, some of you don't. If you don't worry about this at all. You'll be on a team, and your team will pick some products and services, and that'll be fine. But some of you have products and services that you might be able to sell during the program. And so I want you to know that we've had many, many clients sell more value in products and services over the 5 days than they paid to be on the program. Many clients have done that. And so I want you to think about that. What products or services might you want to bring to the event and have an opportunity to actually sell? How cool would it be if your product or service could be selected? I am not guaranteeing that your team will pick your product or service. I'm just saying, how cool would it be if your team picked your product or service, and then you got to work for the next 5 days marketing and selling your product or service? Does that sound like fun? It's so cool. I'll give you one of my favorite examples of this. Is that there was a woman in Copenhagen, and she's really, really, she's really fantastic, and she's got a really good entrepreneurial mind, but not a lot of entrepreneurial experience. And so she'd created a product and had never been able to get traction with it. She'd never been able to get it out there. She brought it to the BFE, and at the BFE, she got on a team. The team liked her product, and they ended up creating a marketing plan for her online. And by day 3 of the program, she was selling product online for the first time ever. And when I bumped into her 2 days after the event, or maybe it was the day after the event, she said that the website and that the system they set up sold more units for her the day after the event than during the live event. In other words, she had built lasting assets. Listen to me, lasting assets. So if you have products or services that you think might be interesting, then here's how you might be able to maximize your results. bring samples or bring inventory or bring marketing materials or what have you. I'm telling you that the first time we did this program, I was really surprised. I mean, I created this game, and then the next day when people, because we used to be doing it where it was only the first night was only the evening. So we'd have people come in for a few hours just to get them started, and then the event would start the next morning. Well, the next morning I showed up and there were like display booths, and there was one team had set up 2 massage beds. No kidding, like right there. And they were selling massages during the breaks. And so it really turned into a marketplace where you got to see marketing. And here's an interesting question. Who can you sell to? Anyone. You can sell to each other. You can sell to other people in the hotel. You can sell to people on the streets. One year we did this program, actually funny enough, in Stockholm, where we're going to be. And one of the teams had a member that was doing some work with with an American football team in Stockholm. I didn't know they played American football in Stockholm, but they got the football players in all their uniforms to walk around the streets and sell tickets for teen camps. It was the coolest thing. So you have no idea the creativity that's going to come up and come out, and it's going to be super, super fun. So if you have products or services, just have it in mind, what might help me to make this attractive for my team, and how might I be able to sell it better? Does that make sense? Okay, so that's some framing on what you guys can expect. I know that you've received a bunch of emails with other details. I don't want to go too far into that. I just, there are a couple little things, like the hours, like for those of you who have marketing weekend, that's really like a business seminar. You show up at a reasonable hour, you leave at a reasonable home, you have dinner with your family, go out with your friends. This is not that program. This program is intense. We will start at reasonable hours in the morning, but we will run into the evenings, and your team will want to run into the evenings. We will cover a lot of material. So there's a couple things to think about. I would say, do what you can to get a little rest before you come. Be ready, right? The other thing I would say is that it's always useful to bring some snacks and that kind of stuff. We will take breaks, and there are meal breaks and stuff, but it's just, I find that people seem to do a little better if they've got some snacks and water and stuff like that they can just have there at their seat, so that they're maximum comfortable. And so that's kind of my disclaimer on the intensity of what we're going to go through together. And don't worry, guys, for every bit of intensity I expect from you, I will give you twice that. So we'll have a ton of energy and a ton of fun. So with that, let's hear from you guys. And it's simply this. And I know at this point we're going to get into that. But we're European. We don't automatically just speak. So here's what I'm saying. Either just say hi, and this could be an opportunity to already create some attraction for people that you might want to be on a team with. Maybe you could create some attraction for a product or service that you're thinking of bringing. Or if you have a business challenge or something you want to ask about, you can do that. And I will go with whoever wants to go first. See, Kelsey, I'm telling you, it's always like this with the very first.
Can we go first?
You can, Eric, you're in.
Awesome. So I want to introduce me and my friend who are both going to Stockholm. And we met you in Amsterdam. And the funny thing is, after Amsterdam, we were like teaming up, and every Friday and Saturday we're in this tiny room. It's like how many square meters?
20 square meters.
Like 20 square meters, and every Friday and Saturday we're here building our Inceptor stories and trying to get the values of our clients. So we're really happy to be here, and it's just funny that I can take my friend, and it's pretty cool.
Well, it's really great to see you guys both, and I love to hear stories about people that are moving forward, that actually change their behavior after workshops. That's what it's all about. There's little point in me running workshops if people don't make changes. So that's very inspiring for me to hear you guys doing that. Fantastic. I know you're going to get a lot out of this 5 days.
Awesome. Yeah.
I don't know how it works.
Okay, Marcus, I think you're next. For some reason I can't. Oh, there you go, Marcus.
Yeah, no, I had to unmute it. Okay, you hear me now?
Yep, all good.
Okay, good to see you. Well, a little bit to my background. I'm Marcus from Germany, and today, on a little side note on WildFit, I have like my all-time low of 62.7 kilograms. but that's just a little, yeah, note on the side. Some may know what it's about. For me, the question or my challenge right now is that I thought I was doing business, but I was basically freelancing a lot. I'm coming from video editing, film and video producing, and took that into the internet, helping people to make videos, self-marketing videos, and even helping them with marketing strategies, things like that. But I'm still freelancing on and off, and always like the new things that I like to try, I sell them to people that haven't done them a lot before, and I know a little better. And now the question for me is, so how can I put something into a product? I don't really have a product yet, and you just said it. I should bring my product. What can I sell? So I'm actually wondering, does it make sense for me to go through the year program and maybe attend next year when I'm a little further down the road, or what's your intake on that?
Marcus, I can tell you, and you know what's great? I love that you're asking me this, having already signed up and paid. People ask me this sometimes before they sign up, and then my advice seems kind of self-serving. But now you know that my advice for you is very clean. It doesn't make a difference to me which one you come to. But I will tell you this. If you wait and you come next year, you'll be angry with yourself.
Okay.
I know that because it's happened so many times. I need to get more progress. I need to get more of this and that. The best metaphor I can give you is, if you're building a building, you don't want to we need to get a few more floors built. Then we'll focus on the foundation, I think.
Okay.
If you're there are two categories of people ultimately coming to this event. There are people who have a lot of foundation of their business already, and there are people who have not a lot. That's basically it. And what I would say to you is that if they have a lot of foundation, then they're going to learn some things. They're going to help them to repair the cracks and really strengthen it and do the best they can. And those people many often you will hear them. You'll hear them during the weekend going, oh, I wish I knew this a year ago, or I wish I knew this 5 years ago. They're going to be the ones fixing stuff. Then as people that don't have so much foundation, unfortunately, many of them won't appreciate the value right away of what I'm saying, but they will a year later. Because it's the people who have already made some of the mistakes, or the people that have, so what I'm saying to you is clean advice, because you're already signed up. It doesn't matter to me. I'm saying if you wait a year, you're going to be mad at yourself.
Okay.
Not only that, Marcus, but we offer, this is a separate point, but we offer really, really nice graduate pricing to come back and do programs at massive discounts, because we have a lot of clients that have wanted to come back and do them. So, if you end up wanting, and it's always it's the same basic structure, but it's always a different workshop because there's different people. So yeah, no, we'll see you this year.
Okay. We will.
One thing, Marcus, to think about too is, one of the reasons that my business has changed so much over the last 5 years is that my wife and I often talk a lot about the concept of leveraging, and what I mean by that is that very often creatives think that the way to leverage is to come up with a new thing and the next product and the next service and so on. But one of the things that we're going to talk about is a different model of thinking, where you start thinking about leveraging existing stuff, finding more ways to package something, finding more ways to make money from the same value. So you start thinking less about what you're doing, and you start thinking more about what you're giving. And when you start thinking more about what you're giving, then you can identify more ways to give that thing, right? I'll give you a really great example. For those of you who are doing the 12 months where you're watching the videos, that never used to be available. We only had live events. And then, my wife and I are sitting down having this conversation about how do we reach more people but spend less time on planes. Okay, well, we don't think about creating something new. We take a look and go, wow, we have a huge value proposition for people here. How is another way that we can create value for them with that information? And so we created at that time a 3-month business coaching program that we called the Business Freedom Challenge. It was basically like, Marcus, you're aware of WildFit. It was like the WildFit Challenge for business. And we did it, we had it available for 3 months, and it was incredibly powerful. Then what happened is our clients started saying, wow, that's a lot of information for only 3 months. It would be better if we had a year to work on it. And so we went into the studio and recreated the program, which you're now experiencing. But bear in mind, There are some people who will go through those programs and they will never come to one of my live events, or they might not come for a few years because they're able to do it without me being there. So that's one of the things that we'll focus on over the course of the BFE is what, you know, when you're saying, for example, hey, I'm mostly a freelancer, then the question starts to become, what additional value can you create for people? How can you leverage the value instead of leveraging your time? Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
All right, see you in Stockholm. Okay, Kelsey, who's up?
We had Gracia next, so I'm just going to unmute her.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, Gracia, you're up.
Oh, I am really? Oh, hi. Oh, hi. Nice to meet you all. Oh, can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, great. Well, I'm from Amsterdam, just like the two guys who spoke first. And we met each other, I think 2 months ago in Amsterdam also. And I got so excited and I thought, I want to know everything about marketing. And I was just captivated, and I don't have a business. I'm very busy with starting. Well, I've decided what I'm going to do. That's a good thing, because when I was in the workshop, I didn't know yet what I was going to do, but I've decided what I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to take a step forward and coming to the program 5 days, and then I got my business.
Good deal. Good deal.
Yeah.
Super glad to have you. And yes, we had a very good time in the Netherlands, and I'm glad I'll be coming back at some point. And I'm super glad that you're going to be with us in Stockholm. And you know, it's really great that you've kind of made a decision on moving forward. It's not necessary. I know that we will often have people come to the program like they come and they go, I'm not even sure why I'm here. I don't have a business. I don't even have a business idea. But you know what? The end of 5 years hanging out with a bunch of other entrepreneurs, it's amazing what can be stimulated in terms of new ideas, new product concepts, new ways to market, and so on. So, Gracia,
yes, I really want to know everything about it, because I don't have, you know, it's you can read lots of books and you can go on YouTube and find everything on marketing, but it's still not making, it's still not the business you're making. It's different. So I'm very glad to join the program.
Good deal. Super glad to have you here. Thanks for saying hello.
You're welcome.
Rain, I think. Rain, you should be live.
Hello.
There you go.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Rain. I'm from Estonia. And I have actually a question about like, say, if I'm going to write all the procedures and systematize all the work that has to be done in my company, then doesn't it going to be like, well, when everyone knows how to do their work by the, like if it's written down, so it will be really easy for me to bring new people, new employees. But doesn't it going to be boring for the people who are working already in there? Because it's going to be like working in a big factory and doing one and same operations every day.
So you know, we're going to talk quite a lot about this during the weekend. What you're talking about now might be, and I might say this a few times about a few different things, but it might be the most important part of creating business freedom. It really might be. Now, unfortunately, it also is the part that requires some of the least fun work to get it done. You know, and that's just the way it is. Like writing out procedures and creating templates for some people is just not a lot of fun. But and so as a result, they won't do it. And then as a result, they'll end up being slaves to their businesses for a long time. We will discuss in detail how to make that happen in your business and specifically where you need it. You guys are going to go through something that we call the business freedom audit. The business freedom audit is something that I used to only do for, like, say, private clients. And then last year, we started including it in the Business Freedom Experience. And it is really powerful. And it's a way for you to like really accurately measure how much business freedom you have in each department of the company. And then know specifically what steps you need to take in each part of the company, in each area of roles, so that you can create the procedures. And then we're going to give you really great strategies for getting those procedures created. And then, of course, you know, the other side of it is that you have that material also covered in the BF 365 with some great strategies on how to do it. So for now, what I would suggest to you, if you want to get a little bit of a head start, is it's really quite simple. Is for now, it would be as simple as buying yourself, let's say, a notepad. And I find paper for some reason just as easier. Maybe it's a generational thing for me. But, you know, grab a piece of paper or a piece of digital paper, whatever the case is, somewhere where it's going to – the one reason that I like paper is that as it gets bigger, it feels like progress. So the more sheets of paper you do, it feels more like progress. Whereas if you're doing it digitally, it kind of seems to disappear off into nowhere psychologically. So one of the things you can do between now and the program is just notice when you're doing something that is a repetitive task, and you just open up your notebook and you write at the top what the task is. And you don't even have to do it all detailed for somebody else yet. You just, for you, write down the basic points. We do this, and then we do this, and we do this, and we use this document, and it's located in this location, and we save the document like this, and so on. And you just bullet point out the steps like that. And I'm telling you, between now and Stockholm, you have not so long, but between now and Stockholm, you have the capacity to really, you know, get yourself a little bit of a head start on that. Now, during the program, we'll give you some strategies for speeding that process up and organizing it a lot better. But you're definitely on the right track. Super, super important. The difference, there are so many benefits, but the difference relative to what you said is so straightforward. You hire someone, and now you don't train them and then lose the training, and then they train somebody and lose some more training, and then they train somebody and lose some more training. Now you have consistent, regular training, so that as you grow and you grow and you grow, you can actually get to the place where, which is one of the neatest feelings in the world, where you walk into your office one day and you meet somebody that's good at doing their job that you've never met before, because you didn't hire them, you didn't interview them, and you didn't train them. The company did.
Yeah, I understand that I want to do it, but how I'm going to, when everything is written down, then the workers, they don't have, they don't need to think at all by themselves. They only have to do it as it is on the paper. So maybe they don't like it. Maybe they want to
Rain,
be able to think
I'm
themselves.
with you. Here's one of the things. We'll talk a lot about this during the 5-day program, but here's one of the things is that there are very different personality types in business. So it strikes me that you're probably more of a creative entrepreneur. And so one of the issues is that as a creative, you crave variety. So the idea of somebody handing you a piece of paper and telling you, do it like this, 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 and this would drive you crazy. Me too, as well. But there are other employees that they crave certainty more than they crave variety. Kelsey's one of them. You see her raise her hand just then? So if I have a project and I go, Rain, here's the project, and I just tell you what I want, get this done, then there's a part of you that goes, great. The first thing I have to do is come up with how to get it done and a new plan, and you kind of, creative stimulation. If I go to Kelsey and say, Kelsey, get this done, she'll do it. She's able to, but it'll stress her out. She'll produce cortisol. She won't be smiling. Whereas if I go, Kelsey, here are the steps. Please go do this. Oh, by the way, let me know where we can improve the steps. She's in. So it's really important for you to remember that there are different psychologies in the business, and that the majority of them will actually like clean, structured rules as to the way to do something. And then what you need to do is figure out how do you get them to get their variety and their creative stimulation in other areas, but you don't want them applying creativity to the general day-to-day practice of your business, because then you produce inconsistent results. And ultimately, for business freedom, you want your company to produce consistent results. You want the phone answered the same way every time. You want the customer service done the same way. You want the product and service to be delivered the same way every time. And I'll give you an example of this from the restaurant industry. Imagine you and I, we go off into Old Town and we go up and we order. There's a restaurant there. I love it. It says, I can't remember the name of the restaurant, but it's up in Old Town, and the menu there says food from the forest. I just think that's the cutest thing. And so, but let's say you and I go in there and we order some food and it's really good. Then we go back a week later and we think, you know what, let's get that same thing. And we order that same thing, but it comes and it's different. How do you feel?
Not really pleasant.
Now notice what happened here. I didn't say it wasn't good. I just said it was different. It could be that it's even better, but you don't want better. You want the same.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Yes, it does.
So even you and me, fancy creative types, even we want certainty. We just don't like to admit it.
Of course. Thank you.
We will go into this a lot in the 5 days in a lot of different ways. You're going to see how we can use that same type of thinking to make sure your employees want to stay with you forever and your customers want to stay with you forever. It's a really important style of thinking. So I think we've done it well here, but I think you'll get even more. And now Kelsey apparently is going to jump in.
I just wanted just a quick little add-in, exactly what Eric said. For me coming in as an employee, I want to know exactly how Eric wants things done. As my employer, I want to make things simple for him. And so having that process documented gives me peace of mind because I know I'm giving him what he needs. That's exactly.
Yeah. Certainty. One of her, like if you were to take her kind of emotional needs, Kelsey has a higher need for certainty than I do. And I have a higher need for creative expression than she does. And we're going to talk a lot about how you can evaluate those things in your partners and your employees and so on, so that you can kind of craft things. But the reality is this: creative people can be among the best people in the world in your business. They can also be the scariest. And the silly example I use about this is that, when they hire air traffic controllers, there's very specific personality types that they like to hire to be air traffic controllers, and creative people, not one of them.
Of course.
So I hope that helps. Again, we'll go deeper in Stockholm, but that's a good start.
Okay, thank you.
All right, who's next? Veiko?
Hi.
Hello.
I'm Veiko from
Veiko.
Estonia. Yes. I have been entrepreneur quite several years. At the moment, I work with a couple of business of my own, and I am also an employee. So I have like two sides. And, I live in Estonia, but I work in Finland. So this is kind of also like colorful. Therefore, what I wait for this BFM, I think that the time is one of my not of my friends there, because I do not, how can I say, I do not have time to deal with all my businesses and what I want to have been done. Like you said, you are more creative than, but I am like more the other opposite. I like to work with numbers and to make everything straight and by the book, I like to say. So, but in sometimes I'm get also exhausted with that. So I need some creativity also. I do not have a concrete question at the moment.
Well, that's okay. It's a good introduction, and I want to. It's a funny thing. So you have a business, but you also have a job. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes.
So guys, listen up. Here's what's going on. Veiko has a conflict of values. On one side, he craves certainty, so he has a job. On the other side, he craves independent expression and freedom and wanting to do his own thing, so he has started a business. But in the end, and it'll be interesting to see where we get after 5 days together, but in the end, he's kind of like that kid who's holding on to the one bar and the other bar and can't move now. Does that sound familiar to you, Vico?
Yeah. It's kind of the feeling I have
so
now.
one of the things that I think is that as we can give you more and more certainty about your business and more certainty about your strategy and the way you build your business, then as we can build up your level of certainty in your business, your need for certainty in having a job might go down, and you might start to feel more free to actually go full forward. Here's what you don't know. What you don't know is, let's start with what you know. You know that if you were to quit your job and be fully focused on your business, that creates uncertainty. You know, how much money will come in? How fast will I grow my business? What you don't know is what would happen if you worked full-time on your business for 3 months because you didn't have your job anymore. You don't know that. Now, what if you did though? What if you knew that working full-time in your business for 3 months, you would end up making more money and having more freedom than if you had a job? Would you quit your job?
Of course.
Exactly. So it's a funny thing, right? It's a values conflict. You want freedom, but you also want certainty, and you can't have them both. But you can. And one of the ways that you can is by learning so much about this side. See, I have the other version. I find having a job just way too uncertain for me. I think that's way too uncertain. I can't do that. Like and I'll explain it, because here's the thing. Everybody who has a job is actually an entrepreneur. They're just an entrepreneur with only one product, their time, and only one customer, their employer. Any business owner will tell you that having only one product is a problem, and having only one customer is a problem. And so for me, when I have a job, I just feel awfully afraid because it's all in one basket. When I have a business, I'm like, oh, I can, this doesn't work out, and this one does, and this one does. And so I have certainty by having a broader base. But that's partly because I'm familiar with business. If I wasn't, when I first started my first company, by the way, you guys will probably hear this story in Stockholm, but a lot of people go, Eric, you were so brave, because guys, what you might not know is when I started my first company, I was recently married. My wife was about 8 weeks pregnant. I was living in a foreign country that I didn't even have a work visa for. I had no money. I mean, it was not the perfect time to start a business. So why did I? Not because I was so brave, but because I had to pay the rent. I had to pay, and the problem is because I didn't have a work visa for the country I was in, I had no choice, start a business. So it wasn't out of any great braveness. I was forced to do it. But then by doing it, trial and error, I came to a place where I very soon realized that I felt more certainty being in charge of my own destiny than I did having somebody else in charge of my destiny. It's an interesting values conflict. So Vico, it'll be interesting to see how this goes for you over the 5 days. I'm curious.
I'm also, yes.
Good deal. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
All right, Martin. Do we have Martin?
Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I've got you.
Perfect. Hi everyone.
Hello.
First of all, I'm a dentist from Denmark, and the first time I've heard of you was last year in Copenhagen when my sister was so kind to buy a ticket for the Inception marketing, and it blew me away. It was really a cool event. And since there, it's been going quite good. My business is growing, and the problem is that it's quite a small town. So I probably get 5 to 10 patients per week, new patients per week. And I think that's probably about how many I can get. So now that I want to hire another dentist, I've hired one since last year, and now I want to hire another one. But what I find really hard is how and when can I hire? Because I can't really give them certainty of enough jobs, enough patients, and it's on provision, so they only get what they make. They only earn what they make. So it's quite uncertain. And then again, I can of course show them.
Here's the short answer. Not just yet, but thank you. It's a great idea. Sorry, we're having a little domestic conversation here, but here's the short answer. What you want to do is you want to become marketing that you would almost have to turn clients away.
Yeah.
That's what you ultimately want to do. And what I mean by that is that if you think of it in terms of, look, Martin, just between you and me, no other dentists here. Dentists are not always the most outgoing, salespeople and marketing people. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. That's great news for you because it means that you can easily create market differentiation. You see, and actually, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I actually think I've already done that quite well in the city, but there aren't really that many new patients all the time. It's not that big a city. So
how big is the city?
It's about 20,000.
Okay, so it's about 20,000. I'm just trying to do some math here. How often do you think that people should have their teeth cleaned?
Twice a year.
Twice a year. So that's 40,000 teeth cleanings. And then what percentage of people have cavities in their mouth?
Probably about 25, 30.
Okay, so that's 6,000 cavities that need to be filled. And how many of those people need implants? Like, I'm just trying to put to you, it's a funny thing that our psychology of scarcity. I worked for this sales company when I was a kid, and I was always like, we'd travel around and sell. And the product that we sold would last people for 25 years. And I said, well, that's never going to work because we're going to run out of people. And we were in these tiny little communities. And you know what? We never ran out of people. It was just the strangest thing. It just sometimes feels that way. So like all I'm trying to say to you is that there is a lot of business in a town of 20,000. In fact, I think in the videos, and I'll probably tell this story during the Business Freedom Experience, but there were these dentists called the Houstons in the town that I lived in. And hang on, I'm going to check the population of the town. Hold on one second. Hold with me.
I can ask a question in the meantime.
Yeah, go ahead.
How would you then present to another dentist the idea of the job?
I'll come to that in a minute. So this dentist that I was going to, I was living in a little town called Weston-super-Mare, and the population of Weston-super-Mare is 70,000. So it's a lot bigger than yours. But they had 40 dentists. Okay. Cool. So even if they reach saturation at 40 dentists, their town is, say, 3 times the size of your town, which means that that you should still be able to have 1/3 of that, which means you should still be able to have a good 15 dentists fully employed based on the same numbers. Does this make sense to you?
Yeah, of course.
And then I don't suppose that there's huge border protections at the edge of your town.
No.
You mean other people from other towns can come to your town and the local sheriff won't arrest them? Okay, I'm being a bit silly, but you understand my point is that your market is quite big enough to build a really nice, tidy dental clinic. There's no question in my mind about that. So then what you really want, and it'll answer both your questions, what you really want is you want to be like the Houstons, where you're at the point where you quite literally can't take on new clients, where you're actually saying to people, I'm sorry, we have a waiting list. And the weirdest thing is, by the way, have you ever noticed that nightclubs, have you ever been in a situation where you've seen a nightclub and there's a huge lineup and you join the lineup and then they finally let you in and there's nobody inside? Yeah. They create that lineup to create a buzz, to make you feel like you're missing out on something special. So what that means we need to do is we need to create a lineup sometimes. So what do? There was a great story I heard about a dentist. I think they were in Australia or New Zealand, and they were really struggling to market themselves. So they just changed their entire approach and they put a sign up on the door and it said, no new clients accepted. That seems like a problem, right? Except that now their existing clients would come in and they would see that, ooh, I'm in through the lineup. I'm in. Oh my God, thank God I'm in. And then the dentist would then have a conversation with them while they're cleaning their teeth. Because that's the great thing about being a dentist is that you have tons of opportunity to deliver inceptive stories because they can't talk back. So, you got them in the chair and then sometimes they go, wow, you must be doing really well because you're not taking on any more clients. And you go, yeah, we are. I mean, we still do take on some new clients, but we just don't want strangers in on the street. We want people like you. We want high quality clients. So if you have any friends you know, that you think are high quality like you that need a dentist, you can certainly send them our way and we'll take good care of them. But we just aren't taking we're just not taking people in off the street anymore. Now the clients, I come in, I'm one of your clients. I come away after my session with you, and I bump into my friend who says he needs to have a root canal. I'm like, oh my God, I can get you in with my dentist. He's not taking out any more clients, but I can get you in. And you see, that turned into his marketing. Now, I'm not saying that's your strategy. I'm saying it could be. But now we go to the approach with dentists. And this is ultimately where you want to get, is you want to be at a place where you have so much new business that you can give a dentist some certainty. And maybe you start off by going, hey, I see you have your own office over here, but we have a program where you can do, 2 days a week in our clinic, and we have enough clients to fill you up for the 2 days. So you can give them a chance to try it without having to give up on what they're doing, maybe. Or you have enough business that you can increase your level of confidence in having them come in. But ultimately, bearing in mind that most dentists are not so good at marketing, if you can unlock that piece, if you can get to the place where you have so many clients coming in that you need new dentists, then it's a lot easier to approach those dentists. Then the next thing is that you start reinvesting in the business. So you get the best equipment, you get the best lab equipment, you get everything, you have a nice reception area. You really set it up nicely so that dentist feels like, wow, I have freedom. They have type 2 business freedom. All they have to do is show up and clean teeth and fix teeth and fill teeth. They don't have to market. They don't have to do accounting. They don't have to order supplies. You've created an environment for them where it's like the best of both worlds. They feel like they have a business because, they're part of everything, but they also have the security of having all of that stuff provided for them. And so in a very real sense, the way you approach a dentist is you go, hey, maybe you start off with a one toe in the water. Hey, we're so busy at our clinic. Would you be up for coming and doing 1 day a week at our clinic? We have enough clients to fill you up for that day. And then they come there and they're like, wow, I really like it here. Do you have clients for 2 days a week? And so on. Does this make sense? I think you said yes. I know you're muted for the kids, so it's all good. All right, who's up?
Oh, hello. Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, hello. I'm from Estonia. I just joined your course in February, the Inception Marketing and the speech course, and now the business freedom. And I was attracted by the not being the slave of my business, unfortunately. And yeah, I'm probably doing quite many things, and yeah, my problem is that I'm overwhelmed with all my tasks and not enough income, and that I have to move to a new level with at least 2 of my business, which also overwhelms me a bit, which is I have a magazine. I know that it should be much more than just like a paper magazine. It should be like a community. So I have to create and do that, and ways of doing that. And I'm a yoga teacher, and I have understood that don't want to get any more the physical rooms so much and do just the courses for 10 people, but I want to move to internet. But I don't know what to do there and how to do and what to exactly offer.
So I think that's a bit more complex than we can handle on this call here, but we definitely
yes.
get into that stuff during the weekend or during the program. What we really want to look at is, in a sense, multiple ways to get to the market, multiple ways, and making it as easy as possible for people to buy from us. And you're definitely thinking the right way. A magazine like that to turn the readers into a community is very powerful, because then there's a sense of belonging and a sense of culture, and they're far more inclined to want to keep interacting. And so I think that some of the questions about how you might deploy this stuff across the internet and building communities and stuff, I think that'll come up really nicely during the course of the program. A little bit complex to do now, unless we wanted to spend an hour just on that one topic.
Yes.
But super glad that you're going to be bringing
Thank
that.
you. I will.
So go ahead.
I will join. Sorry, I will join next year. But anyway, I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds good. And in the meantime, you know, going through the video training is going to give you a lot of those strategies as well, I think, and really help you to build things.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
Yeah. Thanks.
Nice to see you, Marat.
Yeah. Bye.
Hey, Vladimir. You're unmuted on our side, but I don't hear you. There we go.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Vladimir Ivanov from Estonia, and I also met you on this Inception marketing course. So it was a lot of fun. A little bit about my background. I was worked for the last 12 years in engineering company. Last 5 years, I was co-owner and head of the company. We did complex stuff like industrial automation from different industries. But it was fun, it was interesting, but there was no business freedom at all. So long days, long journeys without family. And I decided to change my life, and I just left this company. And I left fancy cars and big bonuses and salaries to start from scratch. And it is really interesting for me because in this company I was like a superhero, Mr. Answer, problem solver. I can find solution for any problem like for seconds. But now I don't really know what to do because I'm not sure to continue industrial automation stuff. So maybe there is more interesting businesses with biggest margin, and I have no idea what to do. Yeah.
So what would it be like once, let me ask you, what would it be like when it was all solved?
Sorry?
What would it be like when the problem was solved? Like, how would you know that you had a good solution?
It is for engineering company, there is some problem with some factory for some industry, and I had to find right solution, hardware, software, servers, programs. So it was really interesting and fun for me. But now I don't know where is the problem. What do I need to solve?
I understand. That's why I'm asking you, like, what would it be like if it was perfect?
I don't know.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting to, is that, you know, it's hard to offer the solution when you're not so very clear about what it would look like when it was solved. This is going to sound a little silly, Vladimir, but it's a little bit like, you know, somebody pulls over and they go, "Hey, Vladimir, can you give me some directions?" Yeah. Where do you need to go to? Well, I'm not really sure 100%. I just know I don't want to be where I was before. And there was this one place that I was that I really liked, but I'm not sure I want to go back to that same place. Like, you know, the more clear you are about what the solution looks like, the easier it's going to be to come up with strategies for achieving it. So maybe you don't have an answer right now, but tell me, if you had an idea of what it would be like when it was perfect, what would that be?
I tried a little bit to make a consulting business, but it's not a good idea because my customers, they are not happy because I left. So they have problems with my previous company. So I'm not sure. No, I have conversation with different partners. I can sell sugar. I can sell food pellets. I can maybe do something else. But now I'm just like focused on industrial stuff. Why?
Because you're not so clear about what you do want to be focused on. So let me ask it to you another way. How do you want it to be?
I really always wanted business freedom. So I really like to make good money, to enjoy this stuff, but now I have no idea. Really, it's a little strange for me because 2 months ago I was Superman. I solved problems in seconds. Yeah.
And what do you think changed?
What has changed?
Yeah. What changed? Like 2 months ago, you're Superman. Now you don't feel like Superman. What do you think has changed to make that?
I left this company. Now I have nothing. So I have to start from scratch.
Okay, I understand. So what it sounds like is that when you were at the company, it's a bit like the conversation we had before. You had certainty. And so with that certainty, you felt like Superman. I can make things happen. I have a framework and so on. And now you have uncertainty. But I'll tell you something, is that the reason we like our superheroes is that they go and they face uncertain things and then they kick butt. Every great movie, every great story has everything was fine, then everything was not fine anymore. And it's what happened to the hero when everything was not fine. That's when we find out if they were Superman. Because Superman doesn't use his powers when things are easy and going well, right? Superman jumps in. Like, we as entrepreneurs need to recognize it's not when things are going well that we are really using our superpowers. It's when things are not going well that our superpowers come out. That's when we have to like really create some strength and so on. So I guess I don't want to make, I know what it's been like for me when I've been in a situation like yours, where you leave one thing that's really quite certain and you go to this other place with a whole lot of uncertainty. And the question becomes, what's next? Who am I and what am I going to make work? And so let me ask you, in a sense, the same question I've been asking you, but ideally, yes, I understand you'd like to have business freedom and you'd like to make good money and all that kind of stuff. But ideally, what would you like to be doing day by day? And how would you like to be providing value to people day by day? What would be, in a sense, like an ideal fun business for you to be in?
I'm not sure. Because consulting business for me, it's just one-to-one meetings, and there is no business freedom at all.
No, but it can be built. There's no question that it can be built. You can start with a one-to-one consulting business, or a one-to-one coaching business, or a one-to-one dental practice, or a one-to-one legal practice, and you can build it into business freedom. But it's not like you start on day one and then you have business freedom. You start on day one and you start looking at things like the systemization, like the proceduralization, but in your case, even more about how do we add all kinds of different types of value to the clients that doesn't involve always having it to be your time. That's the big question. What kind of other services and other products are you, what kind of other services and products, what are other ways that you can create value for those people that doesn't involve you having to put your time in? That's what we want to address during the program, is really trying to help you figure that piece out.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy consulting?
It depends on client. So.
Yeah, so this is what I want for you. I want you at step one to have a consulting business, maybe. Step two is that you're so busy that you only choose the clients that you enjoy and that you're having fun with. Step 3 is that you figure out ways to leverage the value, leverage the offering that you're making for people, where not all of the revenue is dependent on you working your personal time with people. Step 4 is where you don't have to be putting your time anymore because clients are being served even if you're not there, but because you like it, you can keep doing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Let's think along those lines and let's see where we can get when we get to Stockholm.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great, Vladimir. Thanks very much. Okay, we have Artur next, I think.
Yeah, good evening.
There we go.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
I can and hear you.
Yeah, great. I'm Artur from Lithuania, Vilnius. I have one business in Lithuania, and 4 years ago we started business in Poland. I do business for 10 years, and I create the system which works perfectly in Lithuania, and it's where we have a good share market. But 4 years ago we decided to move to Poland and start working there. And I already asked question. It was first one, for example, do good things in Lithuania. We took a marketing plan, and that thing works very well in Lithuania. For example, we do events. And so we do marketing for this event, both in Lithuania and in Poland. In Lithuania, that event is very successful. In Poland, we do everything the same, but it's not so successful as in Lithuania.
Okay, so were you? So I kind of addressed your question. Were you on at the beginning of the call?
Yeah.
Okay, so I kind of addressed this, and it's a more complex issue than I can really go into on this call, to be fair to everybody. But the steps are very much what we talked about at the end. Hang on a second. Hey, sorry. But I think that if we go back to inception marketing, the key thing is to really try to understand that if something's working in one country and it's not working in the other country, then it's aligning with the values from the one country, but it's not aligning with the values from the other country. In other words, whatever the offer is appealing to the people in the one country, but it's not appealing to the people in the other country. So you have to figure out what is different for them. Is it cultural? Is it logistic? Is it legal? Is it, what is the difference for them? And that's when you're going to recognize that you have to run different campaigns in different countries. I mean, at a silly level, Coca-Cola ran a campaign in China some years ago. And, Coca-Cola's slogan at the time was Coke adds life. And then they translated it directly into Chinese symbols, into, Chinese, Chinese symbols. And the translation ended up being Coke brings your dead relatives back to life. And clearly that's not what they were trying to say with their marketing. What I'm saying is that sometimes something can have one message in a culture, but it can have a completely different meaning in another culture, even quite similar. So it's really a question of testing. It's a question of using the steps of inception marketing to say, what's going on for these people? What are their highest values? What challenges do they have? And so let me ask you this. What was the campaign that did work?
Yeah, actually, everything works. All campaigns we do, we have results. But the results we have is not the same good as, for example, another in Lithuania, in my case. So our results is growing each year, but comparing to the market, Poland is a huge market. Lithuania is a small country. Lithuania is 3 million, Poland is 40 million. And when we go to Poland, we expected that with the same energy and with the same resources, results would be much more higher. But now, results is growing, but not growing so fast. So,
all right. I think we'll probably get a chance to play with this a little bit more in Stockholm, but I'm going to offer you one suggestion. The bigger a market is, the more people are trying to sell in it. So the strategies that I might use in Tallinn might not work in New York. because in New York, there's 100 people else trying that same strategy.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that's your issue. I'm just saying there's so many different things that we'd actually have to look at the campaign to try to figure out what's going on. But it could be as simple as that in Poland, there's a much bigger market. There's so many more choices. You know, like if you start a little market in a town, here's an example. Let's say you start a little dental clinic in a town of 20,000 people. It's actually maybe in some ways easier to grow a nice dental practice there because there aren't a million options for people. Because why are there not a million options? Because people go, well, it's a small market. I don't want to compete in such a small market. And so in a weird sense, you have an opportunity to create really great market differentiation. Then try and start your dental clinic in New York City. Holy cow. That's going to be tougher because so many people are attracted to that market. So it could be as simple as something like that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So then the question is, we stop thinking in terms of why is it different in one country than the other? And we just start thinking of, okay, this didn't work so well in Poland. Let's get a tighter ideal target market. Let's make a better pitch and let's find something that does work in Poland. Cool?
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Kelsey, who's up?
We have Eve.
Cool.
Just bring her up right now.
Hello, everybody. So I am Yeva from Lithuania. And after Inception marketing trainings, we started to make a blog and we wrote an article, but we seem now that everybody who reads them says that it is too long and it's not very interesting. And we made some points and we made the examples with the points. We know that we need to write a story, to tell people a story, but I'm not sure what story, and I'm not sure should we try to write that story. So maybe you have some suggestions, because we have an entertainment, it is escape room, and we wrote an article about how to choose a good escape room. So.
Okay, hang on one second. I just need to make a change. There we go. The baby needed to, I was in the kitchen and the baby wanted to be in there. So we moved some things. Yes. And then I escaped the room, as Daria said. All right. So without going into the actual article, something we can do during the 5 days together. One of the things I want to recommend is that if you really remember the key points of Inception marketing, the article has to not be necessarily what you're wanting to write about. It has to be about what they're wanting to read about. And then it has to really engage them. I'm going to put a note in here. Okay, I just put a note. It says articles, Ben Hardy, medium.com. So medium.com is a big aggregate blog site where people can just write articles. And Ben Hardy is a friend of mine. He's the #1 read writer on medium.com. I suggest you go look at his articles. There's something about the way he writes them. Very short paragraphs, bullet points, bold text in the right places. He writes the structure of the article really, really well that makes them really readable. The other thing that you can look at with his articles is the headlines, because the headline actually speaks directly to why the reader wants to be there, and it gives them a promise. So I think that might give you a template or kind of a structure that you can use for writing. In the meantime, remember the steps. Like, my guess based on what you're saying right now is that your article is about escape rooms, is it?
Yes.
So what you've done is you've taken a little bit of what we talked about Inception marketing, but you've tried to shortcut the process and you've gone straight to escape rooms. But what if the article was about employee loyalty? What if the article was about productivity? What if the article was about teamwork? So those are 3 articles that you could write that you know right now sitting here with me that you could lead to escape rooms with, couldn't you?
I think so.
So I think maybe that was the actual problem.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so thank you.
Cool. See you in Stockholm. All right, who's up?
It's gone quiet. We haven't.
Guys, it's all good for me. I'm very happy to go and play with my little baby in the next room if you're done with questions, but I am here for you. All right, we're good. If there's anybody else that has anything you want to add, nobody wants to plug their program, like what plug their product. Is anybody planning to try to sell something at the BFE? Who is?
Definitely.
Good deal, Eric. I'm with you.
Of course. But I still have one question. If it's,
go for
it. So can I, like the last time when I was in Amsterdam, you told me like all the time that you ask people questions, they first want to tell what they're selling. So I'm trying not to do that, but is it okay if I tell you what I'm
selling? Go ahead.
Okay, I'm making chatbots for gyms right now. And what I'm currently a little bit struggling with, I have already a client. That's a client from Finland, and that went pretty well, but I framed it a little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit a tricky situation right now. But I'm trying to get, yeah, of course I want to have the best product ever, but yeah, chatbots are not the most, let's say that, not much people know much about how to use chatbots in the best way. So I'm trying to figure it out, and I just want to be the best in the fitness world. But what would be a really good strategy, would you say, to yeah, build a really reliable product?
What would be a great strategy for creating a really reliable product? Research and development and testing. You know, I'll tell you, chatbots are really interesting. I think they're fantastic. And the problem is that it's like many things that are really, really effective. It's like network marketing. Network marketing is a fabulous system of marketing, but it ends up attracting a lot of the wrong people because it's so good. So you end up with bad companies that use network marketing because it's so effective. Same thing is happening with chatbots. Chatbots are so good. The problem is that people are using them really badly. They think the chatbot is the answer. The chatbot isn't the answer. The chatbot is a medium, just like a Facebook ad or a radio or television advertisement or a direct mail piece. It's a medium. And the degree to which the chatbot feels like a chatbot, nobody's interested. So then that means what I'm trying to get at is that in developing that, it really is a matter of doing the best you can to make the chatbot really feel personalized to somebody, and then testing it and noticing, okay, we had 10 people opt into this, but we lost 3 of them. Maybe we should reach out and have a personal person write to them and ask why they disengaged. Why did we lose them? And then we might find that we get some feedback on where the chatbot didn't feel real or didn't work. At the end of the day, creating a great product is only initially about the idea. After that, it's about testing and feedback, cycles of improvement. Testing and feedback and cycles of improvement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great. That's already like a really fun story. Actually, I did I made my chatbot for a gym, which allowed people in the gym actually to train with it. So it's like a program on your messenger, and everyone is using it while they're training. And I got a pilot group of like 12 people who are actually using the program. And with that group, I developed a program in the chatbot itself. And now it's just a personal trainer that also tracks their workouts, what they did last time, and then they can get it back. And now I already got like 4 gym customers of the people in Finland who were actually telling me that they really got results with my chatbot. And yeah, I'm using that right now. So then I'm on the right path.
And by the way, that is a really novel approach to retention in the gym. Because in a sense, imagine if your coach did that and spoke to you about your progress and wrote to you on Facebook and gave you this reminder. And if you can do that with a chatbot in a way that makes the client really feel touched, retention all day long. So that's exciting.
I was talking to those people, and before I made this, I actually walked through the gym and I tried to talk to the customers in the gym and to really know what they were going through. And what I found is that the beginners over there, some beginners really felt uncomfortable in the gym. And when I asked them, okay, but why don't you go to the staff if you don't know what to do? Because they want to help you. The staff was amazing, was really good. But the thing is that still people won't go to the staff. But the thing is that they did want to go to my chatbot. And now with my chatbot, they know what to do, and they really felt comfortable.
Hey, Eric, Kelsey will be in Stockholm. Kelsey, I'm curious about maybe taking a look at doing something like that with some of our online programs, where we take a look at creating like continuity chatbots for people when they're going through something like the BF365, where there's a triggered chatbot that kind of, hey, have you watched today's video? You know, because I think that could be even better than, or a good supplement to email stuff. So Eric, you've sold me on the idea of thinking more about this, which is
awesome.
Important.
If you need some help to think about it, then I'm definitely open to it.
There you go.
One thing more, now that you say it, with the program that you're doing, I am a manager at a sports team called the Goal Trainers. And what we have now is we have a program of 90 days where we give the people who are in the program, they train with us, but they also get every day, they get a small message with a tip on nutrition or mindset or exercise. And now we're developing a way that we can send those messages via the chatbot so that we don't have to do it. You just program it one time and you put it really, I found a way to make it really personal. You can also do it via video, for example. I really like to make it really visual. So that's a really good way to make it as well personal. So if you need any help, I'm also already thinking about those things.
Sounds good. Eric, very good. We will definitely talk about that in Stockholm. And by the way, guys, look what's happening. Educating, creating credibility, creating authority. Now I'm curious. It works on me. Now I'm going to take two more. I think we've got Katri and Piret, I think. So let's go ahead. Okay, and Andy, but guys, my baby's losing it. Hang on a second. Come on, baby girl.
Is he also bringing his baby to Stockholm? We can meet the baby.
No, not this time around. When she's older, she'll actually come and work the events.
Yeah. And there she is.
Yeah, she and I did a major set of flights yesterday. Like we flew from the Dominican Republic to here. And I'm not kidding you. I mean, first they put a guy in the seat beside us. I think it was a bit of an ironic twist because I'm the WildFit guy. But they put a guy in the seat beside us that was so big he was sitting in half my seat. And then, with her with me. Then we got on the next flight and it left 2 hours late. And then in the air, they announced they're taking us to Los Angeles instead of San Diego. So then we, instead of arriving at 10 o'clock last night, we arrived at 4:30 this morning, this poor little girl. So she's not in the best mood in the world. So I'm going to just hold her and see if she seems to like being on the call sometimes. So, all right. Who are we going to first here? Kelsey, I lost track of my count.
Katri, I'm just bringing her up right now.
Okay, cool.
There we go. Unmute, and you're live.
Hello, Katri. I can't hear you, Katri. I don't know why you're unmuted on our side. There we go.
Yes, I'm on. Perfect.
Wow, very noisy.
No, it can't be. I'm basically alone.
I know, but it's static or something. Is it just me, or are you guys getting that too?
Is it really?
Yeah, it's really staticky. It's give it a try.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Katri, and so my background comes from being a telecom entrepreneur and then working in culture after selling my business. And now I'm in completely new field, which is basically women's health. And my main challenge seems to be educating women to really take care of themselves.
Yeah.
And to first pay attention to themselves, not to the rest of the world.
But women do that, don't they?
No.
No.
Not in, at least not in Estonia.
No, I know. That was sarcasm. I'm, you know, something I've learned a great deal about that is both a superpower for women, but also their biggest weakness. The
Yes.
superpower is that they're community oriented and they want to support things that are going on around them. But then it's a weakness because very often they end up, you know, taking care of their kids beyond their capacity or, you know, not taking care of themselves. So I think the work you're talking about is very important work.
Yes. Well, my main challenge seems to be that I'm kind of in a dead end at the moment. So I'm somehow I don't really know how to do it. So yeah.
Sorry, say that again. Your main challenge is
that I'm about to lose hope because I don't really seem to be getting anywhere, or this isn't growing, you know, as fast as
here's kind of a funny thing is that you know, you may know, but I used to run these leadership programs where I would take people up Kilimanjaro, and so I've climbed that mountain a lot of times. And you know what's funny about what's that? Want to play with this? No. What about this? That's better. When you're climbing up the mountain, there are times when you're walking downhill, even though you're trying to go to the summit. And there's times when you're walking away from the mountain, even though you're walking toward the summit. It's just the way it is. And that's maybe one of the best examples and metaphors for business is there's very many times when it feels like you're not making progress because you're walking downhill when you really want to be going up, or when you're walking away when you really want to forward. And so what I'm saying to you is that if people lost hope, every time that happened, nobody would ever make it up that mountain. And the same thing is true in business.
Yeah, this is because probably you also have the same with your wild fit, because you're also changing the mindset of really being able to take care of yourself.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. And many times people have that on Wild Fit where they have like a week or a month, or, you know, well, not as long as a month, but a week or two, or sometimes even as long as a month, where they feel like, wow, I don't even feel like I'm making progress right now. And then bam, it hits. And so all I would put to you is that everything is a form of progress. Even mistakes, even challenges, they're all forms of progress as long as you learn from them. So here's my bigger question for you. What would have to happen for you to feel really powerful hope? You want to go over there? What would have to happen for you to feel a real strong sense of hope?
Well, I am actually having hope every day. This is very motivating because I'm still having clients.
Hang on one second. She now wants to go out. I'm just going to get her out.
Okay.
Happen for you? Oh, thank you, Kelsey. What would have to happen for you to feel hope? Like what would be a sign to you that you were making progress?
Poor baby, she seems to be tired. But no, I'm actually.
I really normally wouldn't, but we are here nannyless, so for a few more hours. So I'm just having to entertain her as best I can.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm not saying maybe I was exaggerating. I'm not really losing hope. It's just maybe this is what I really needed to hear, that it's going up and down. And
yeah, that's what I thought. That's kind of what I thought, is that it really sometimes is like that in business, where it's like we're just heading the wrong way, and it's not the wrong way at all. It just feels like the wrong way. But then the problem is, a lot of times people get, and it happens, they go, well, I've been walking the wrong way, and they give up. And the truth is, they were very often really close to the breakthrough they needed to turn the corner. You know, like and I think that maybe that's the thing to think about. We will talk a lot about that kind of stuff during the program as well, the psychological aspects of leadership and managing your state of mind to ride through the valleys and ride through those diversions. So but in the meantime, do think to yourself, because really what I'm going to suggest to you is that the one thing that will consistently create hope for you is progress. So what I'm suggesting is, what if you were able to see walking away from the mountain as progress? What if you were able to see walking downhill as progress? So for me, now having climbed that mountain so many times, when I'm walking downhill toward the mountain, I'm like, woohoo, I remember this part. It gets me to the top, right? So to me, it doesn't feel like downhill. And I know there's this other part where we have to walk across this thing. We have to go away from the mountain for an entire day. For a whole day, you're walking away from the mountain. And it's like, when the first time you're climbing it, it's like, it feels awful. But now I'm walking and I go, hey, we're getting closer every step, even though we're not. So my question for you is, how could you measure progress? And how could you find the progress when you're not necessarily going in the same direction? Hey, mommy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Cool.
Yes.
Cool. Good stuff. Looking forward to meeting you in person properly, and we're going to have some fun.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry I will not be able to participate in Stockholm this year. Next time.
It'll be good.
Okay, and I have another question, which is as a coach. So just asking your advice. I'm having private clients, I'm having workshops, courses, and I find myself kind of getting superficial with certain details, because I'm repeating the same thing over and over and over again. And at some point it feels like, oh my God, I've told it like 1,000 times. Isn't it like the whole world should know about it already? And so how are you dealing with it? Is it like, are you having notes? Like, yeah, I should definitely talk about this, or
I think one of the answers to remember is that, one of the challenges, people who have come to the Inception Marketing Weekend, they're going to hear some of the same examples and some of the same stories in a different context at the Business Freedom Experience. That's okay. It used to bother me. I used to be like, oh God, half the people have heard this story and the other people haven't. And I used to get all worried about that. But I began to realize that it has a lot more to do with how you deliver it than what you deliver. And that repetition is incredibly important to people. That they hear the story at the different place they are this time than last time. And so it doesn't actually bother me. It doesn't actually bother me that it has to be repetitive at times. In fact, I really tend to think of it like martial arts. Like, you don't learn a punch and then you're finished. You don't learn to do the punch and then you're done. You learn it and then you practice it and you practice it some more, and then they show you one more nuance. And here's what's really crazy. And some people probably have already had this with me if they've been to a few different workshops, is they've heard the same story more than once, but it gave them different value the second time. And guys, we've all watched that movie, especially kids movies. Like Disney does a great job of this, but you watch a movie and then you watch the same movie again, because kids like to watch movies a lot. And then you go, oh my God, I didn't even get that joke the first time. Like there's layers, right? And a lot of times that has to do with your vibration at the time of the message. One of my favorite expressions, I tend to take popular expressions sometimes and just change them slightly for my own good. And here's one that I really like. When the teacher is ready, when the student is ready, the student will realize that the teacher was always already there. Okay. Not that the teacher will appear, but the reason the teacher will appear is that there's frequency thought forms. And so once you're in the right frequency, you suddenly see something that was already there. And so if you find yourself having to repeat stuff again and again, recognize that maybe that's exactly what the prospect needs. And what you need to do is maybe, and I've had to do this, you need to get over your own need for variety and recognize that doing the same thing and over again is actually what's serving this client. And that means you need to associate your energy to it and associate your passion to it and still deliver it to them.
Okay.
Cool?
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Great questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Who's up? Pirette, I think I got your question here. What I would suggest to you is that, look, you're never going to be able to forget both. Pirette's question for everybody is she has 2 different business plans. And she's saying, should I just bring one? Should I think only about one, or can I, and so Pirette, yes, what I would suggest is that you focus on one, but it doesn't matter. Your mind will still know about the other one and you'll still pick up the nuances. But remember that it's not just knowledge we want you to get from this program, it's experience. And so, in fact, I could give you a fake business and you could go through the program with the fake business, but because you're practicing it, because you're testing it, you would then learn the skills to apply it to your real business. So if you have 2, then I would suggest the best thing to do is to focus quite seriously on the one, because that way you'll take the theoretical knowledge, you'll turn it into practical knowledge, and then you can apply it to the other business. Whereas if you try to hold on to everything, too many things will slip away. So I hope that answers your question. Are we good? Great, thanks, Brett. Okay, one last question, and we're going to Yeva again. Go ahead.
Okay, so hi again.
Hello.
I want to say that I don't like sales and marketing, and my business partner too. But to hire a good marketing specialist seems to be very expensive, because now in Lithuania we have to pay the same taxes for part-time job and the full-time job. So we tried to hire a student, but then we got much more work because we had to supervise him, help him, and check is he working or not. So,
okay, hang on. Let's back up for a minute. Do you like jujitsu?
Can you repeat? Sorry.
That's my point, kind of. What I want to make a point here is that sometimes whether we like or don't like something has to do with how proficient and confident we feel about it. So if marketing was really easy for you and got really great results, do you think you might like it?
Maybe.
So that's the first thing is that in a business, sometimes it's really useful to learn the underpinning of something, because that'll make it easier to hire and train somebody properly. But really, it's like, imagine that I hire you to come to my business and I go, okay, come on in. Now the job you're going to do, it sucks. I hate it. But come on in and I'll show you how to do this sucky, crappy job that I hate. But let me show you how we do it. By the way, we don't really have very good procedures, because frankly, I hate doing the job so much that the idea of writing procedures for it makes me want to run my fingernails down the chalkboard. But anyway, let me show you how that works. Now, I'm kidding and I know I'm exaggerating, but I think you understand the point. Is that if you can get to a place where at least you don't hate it, if you can get to a point where you go, hey, this is kind of intellectually stimulating and fun, I don't want to do it full time, but I like it, then it's going to be a lot easier to document it, proceduralize it, and train the person that comes in. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Cool.
Okay, thank you.
Now, I know I said that was the last one, but Annie, I could swear I saw you waving your hand earlier. So did you have one? Hold on. I can't unmute you for some reason. There we go.
There I am. Hi, everyone. No, I just wanted to say hello and present myself, and, not leaving without saying a word and saying hello. I won't be there in Stockholm this year, but I'm looking forward for the next events, either next year or maybe in Canada or America.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
I just want to say, that sounds very cool, and I'm looking forward for this year to really, first of all, get clarity and exploring my way through the program, because I basically have ideas. This is my first time that I'm stepping out of the certainty and going to creativity. I'm a massage therapist, and basically I was to a point that I am living in Germany. So for a while, because I didn't have like I was not, how do you say, accredited, not accredited, but sorry, my German's coming out. But basically,
certified.
Yeah, certified, officially certified German, made in Germany. So I had to find my way somehow to work. So the best way is freedom is to start my own business. And also, so basically I have two ideas. There's things, because I do care about people. I'm all about scar tissue, and I'm not going to go into details, but I'm all into finding what hurts, and also about self-care. So I have like two, I'm also a Gemini, so it's like I have two worlds, but I want to combine them to get there. And so there is the touch, and there's the other part is the move, the training. So how can people do that on their own? I love to train them. I do consultation one-on-one, but also train groups. And also touching, well, I guess I am good because people have been asking me maybe to teach them or maybe create programs. So there is like possibilities growing, and I guess I have to start somehow my business. So it's like, I'm starting from scratch and have no experience so far except beside my know-how. So basically what I'm selling, what my product is my know-how in both ways. So so definitely looking for clarity and hopefully finding I'm so glad I'll take part of your whole year, because
yeah, I'm so sorry that you won't be in Stockholm. It's and I apologize for those of you who aren't going to be or can't come in Stockholm. My comment earlier about that you'll be mad a year later, I'm sorry I made that comment, and I'm also sorry that it's true. But it's just kind of how it is. But I think that the clarity piece, it comes down to a little bit of the thing that I was discussing before, of that the more certain we feel about something, the more clear we start to feel. The more we're able to measure the progress and see the progress, the more certain we start to feel. I want to point out that one of the reasons that the opportunity is so very big in entrepreneurship is that psychologically, most people just aren't prepared for the kind of responsibility. They would prefer the illusionary safety of having a job. And that creates a massive opportunity for those of us who are willing to go out and do some different stuff. On a separate note, Annie, have you done any work with fascia?
Yes, I'm all about fascia. This is my world. I'm crazy about that.
At our WildFest event that's coming up, for those of you some of you will know about my company WildFit. We're having our first WildFit conference, and it's called WildFest. And one of the guys that we have coming in to speak, Michael, is a 5-time Olympian who was having all kinds of really difficult problems with his lower back. And he was, if I remember correctly, he was mostly a windsurfer for most of his Olympic career. I think he did some other water sports as well. But everybody kept on working on his lower back. And then finally they switched, and he worked with this guy who developed a system of, I don't know how to put it, but ultimately resistive stretching. And so the guy focused on his stomach and opened up the fascia on his abdomen, and his back problems were gone. And so I actually go and see him routinely when I'm at home, and it's completely changed my physiology. It's changed the way my muscles develop. It's really been fascinating. And the way I tend to, for the rest of you, and Annie's well aware, and Annie, you probably know this way better than me, but the way I tend to describe it to people is, you've got this almost like webbing between your skin and the muscle. And when you get an injury, it thickens up like a cast, like an internal cast. It kind of like, let's say you're playing tennis and you hurt it, then it'll thicken up. But if you lived in nature, the next time you went hunting or the next time you had to lift something, you would, once it healed and it was okay to use, you would in a sense tear that fascia free again. And you would, and then you get your mobility back. But what so many of us do in the Western world is we simply build fascia, and we get older and build more and get older. And that's why you see these people walking around all hunched up with no mobility. So the work that Annie's doing, if you're interested in longevity, if you're interested in feeling younger next year than you feel this year, then I highly recommend the kind of work that Annie's doing. It's such a shame she won't be in Stockholm to sell you guys her services, and now that I've done such a good job of selling it for her.
Yeah. But I just want to say, it doesn't matter what age you are. I'm here to leverage. I'm here to remind people that it doesn't have, you can't stop getting older, but you don't have to get old.
That's right. It's exactly right.
Change your mindset and step out of your comfort zone because it's not comfortable.
It's, you know what? It's a really simple thing. Youthfulness is about flexibility, and flexibility of mind and flexibility of body. And those are the two ways to really maintain your youthfulness. And Annie, the work you're doing, I mean, I love the work that Michael's doing. It's really funny. Like, I don't know how your sessions work, but these guys are brute force guys. So they'll pin me down and then they'll peel my arms away and make me resist away. But when they do, because I played ice hockey for a lot of years and a lot of that, you know, running. And so when they do my legs, it takes two of them. Because it takes two of them to resist my legs, like to be able to do that. But I'll tell you something, 2 days later, I feel fantastic. It's like it really opens me up. Anyway, I love the work you're doing. I'm looking forward to hearing more about it.
Give me the contacts of those two guys.
Kelsey, can you make sure that you connect her with Michael from Cabarete at Wildfest? And
thank you.
Yeah, and Michael's a great, great guy. And the work they're doing is super pioneering. The guy that developed their particular style had no real interest in turning it into a business. He just developed it and he worked with all these Olympic athletes. And then he kind of just wanted to go and be a surf bum or something. So these two guys have decided to build it into a business, and they're now standardizing it. They've built some equipment around it. Like when I go in, they strap me down onto a bed to make sure, you know, it's like they do a great job. Neat guys. So if you ever come to the Dominican Republic, we can introduce you to them anyway, but if you ever come down, you can meet them in person. Neat guys.
Oh, wow. Okay. My heart is pumping. Yoo-hoo. Good.
Guys, thanks so much. I've really enjoyed getting to connect with you guys in advance. We're not so long away until the workshop. Matter of fact, it's my next stop after I fly from Los Angeles directly to Stockholm. I don't even go home again before it starts. So I've been prepping, I've been preparing, and this is our biggest ever business freedom experience. We have well over 100 people that are coming from, I don't even know how many different countries. We used to limit the BFE to 40 people. So we've changed the format a great deal. It's going to be really, really exciting. And I'm looking forward to meeting those of you who will be here this year soon. And those of you who are coming to a next event, I'll give you one piece of good news. Now that I've made it kind of hard on you for not coming this year, is that I've been running this event every year for 5 years. And I've had many clients that have done the event more than once, or they come back and crew and they assist the event. And every single time they say the most recent one was better than the last one. The most recent one was better than the last one. And that is because I am absolutely committed to improvement cycles. So Annie and the rest of you who can't make it this year, I'm sad for you, but I will tell you it'll be even better when you finally do come. Have a great evening, everybody. A great day wherever you are around the world. And for most of you, I'll see you in about a week.